In this video, we're going to be taking a look on pages PowerPoint 32 and 33, in which we're going to insert and modify shapes. After watching this video, you should be able to create a shape and modify a shape style. In PowerPoint, you can insert many different types of shapes, including lines, geometric figures, arrows, stars, callouts, and banners to enhance your presentation. You can modify many aspects of a shape, including its fill color, line color, and line style, as well as add other effects like shadow and 3D effects. Another way to alter the way a shape looks is to apply a quick style. And a quick style is a set of formatting options including line style, fill color, and effect. Let's now take a look at step 1 on page PowerPoint 32, which reads that we want to click the slide for thumbnail in the thumbnails pane, and this is the one for the Atlantic region stations. Then next, it tells us that we want to click the oval button in the drawing group. So we go over here to the drawing group and we want to click on this oval button. Then next, it tells us that we want to position our crosshair here in a blank area of the slide below the slide title. And of course, slide 4 appears in the slide pane, and of course, screen tips will help you identify the shapes if you're needing help to identify the oval shape. Next, on step 2, it tells us that we want to press and hold our shift key, and then we want to click and drag our crosshair down and to the right to create a shape as shown in figure B-7. So right in this area here, we want to click and make a shape, just a round shape that's right here. Once you have made a shape that is similar to this right here, you can release your mouse button and then release your shift key. Now, a circle shape appears on the slide. Now, of course, it's filled with the default theme color, which is green. Now, pressing shift while you create the object maintains the object's proportions as you change its size. So you create a circle using the oval tool. Now a rotate handle, which we see right up here, and that's where it has like the little round circle and it looks like it's going around on there, is the small round arrow appears at the top of the shape, which you can drag to manually rotate the shape. And of course, to change the style of the shape, we can apply a quick style from the shape styles group. Of course, if you're running into some trouble on this one, if your shape is not approximately the same size as what you see here or what you see on figure B-7, press the shift key and then drag one of the corner sizing handles to resize the object that's on there. So this should roughly be about this size right here. Next, on step 3, it tells us that we want to click the Drawing Tools Format tab. So you do have to have the shape here selected, and we want to click on the Drawing Tools Format tab, which is a new tab that appears because we do have this shape selected. And then it tells us that we want to click on the More button in the Shape Styles group. So over here is our Shape Styles, and we're going to click on this More button here. Once we have that, it tells us that we want to move our mouse pointer over the different styles in the gallery to review the different effects in which you can see the different colors and feels of the effects. But it tells us that ultimately we want to choose the Subtle Effect Blue-Gray Accent 3. And of course here we have, of course you may have to go through and use these screen tips to kind of help you out through there. And of course there's the light outline, and then here's the Subtle Effect Green. There's the Subtle Effect Black, so we know that we're probably going to be looking at this line right here. And there is the Subtle Effect Blue-Gray Accent 3. And that's going to be in the 4th column, 4th row. So we can go ahead and click on that. And of course, a blue quick style with a coordinated gradient fill, line, and shadow color is applied to the shape. So all those things have been applied just because we applied this shape style to this. Next, in step 4, it tells us that we want to click the Shape Outline list arrow. So here we have the Shape Outline, and when we click on the list arrow here, we have some different colors. But also down at the bottom we have our eyedropper, weight, dashes, and so forth. And in this case, it tells us that we want to point to weight, and that is how thick the line is. And we're going to move our mouse pointer over the different weights And of course you notice that the thicker the weight of points, the thicker the line that is there. Ultimately we want to go through and click on the 3-point line. So we go ahead and click on the 3-point line, and we notice that the outline weight or the width increases, and now it's easier to see. In step 4, it tells us that we want to click the Shape Effects button. So that is down here in the Shape Styles group, and it's at the bottom here. Shape Effects. And we have different options for our shape effects here. And it tells us that we want to point to Preset, which is up at the very top. And then it tells us to move our mouse pointer over some of the different presets. So we can take a look and see the different options. But ultimately we want to choose preset number 3, and that is this one right here. This is preset number 3. And of course just put your mouse pointer over it, the screen tip will appear. When you click on that, lighting and shadow effects are added to the shape to give it a 3-dimensional appearance. You can change the shape to any other shape in the Shapes gallery as well. Now of course a quick tip as well, to change the transparency of a shape or text object filled with a color, you can always right-click the object and then click the Format Shape and then click the Fill and move the transparency slider. So you can always right-click this, go down to Format Shape down here on the shortcut menu, and then of course the transparency will be on here that you can take a look at. There's size and properties, there's the fill and line, so we can go to the fill, and of course here we have all of our different ones, and here's our transparency, which right now is at 0% because we don't want it to be transparent, but we can make that completely transparent. And of course to get rid of this Format Shape pane, we can always just click on our Close button as well. Now that we have this done, let's take a look now at step 6, and it tells us that we want to click the Edit Shape button in the Insert Shapes group. So we have the Insert Shapes group, and right here is our Edit Shape button. When we click on that, we now have some different options, and then it tells us that we want to point to Change Shape, and this is going to open up the Shapes gallery. Then next we're going to choose the Teardrop button. So we're going to have to go through here and find the Teardrop button, which is this one right up here. It's in the third column in the Basic Shapes and in the second row. So it's this one right here. And when we click on that, on there, we now notice that the circle shape changes to a teardrop shape and a new yellow handle called an adjustment handle, which we see that right over here on there, because we do have our rotation handle here as well, but we do have an adjustment handle, which is right here. It is the yellow in color. Appears in the upper right corner of the shape. Now some shapes have an adjustment handle that can be moved, and to change the most prominent feature of an object, in this case the end of the teardrop. Now you can rotate the shape to make the shape look different. And in step 7 we're going to do that. It tells us that we want to click the Rotate button in the Arrange group. So here we are in the Arrange group up on our ribbon. Oh, that's the Align on there, but we want to click on the Rotate button. So we're going to click on the Rotate button here in the Arrange group. And then it tells us to move our mouse pointer over some of these different options here so that we can see the different options in the live preview that it has. But then it tells us that we ultimately want to click on Flip Vertical. So now you notice that the rotate handle is now on the bottom of the shape, indicating that the shape has flipped vertically or rotated 180 degrees. Now you prefer the circle shape and you decide that the shape looks better rotated back the way it was. And to do this we complete step 8, which tells us that we need to click the Undo button, which is right up here. So we need to click on that and on there. And of course that takes us back to the original teardrop shape, and then we can go back on there, and then we can click the list arrow if we wanted to, and we can click on Change Shape. Now when you click on the list arrow, this gives you all the different actions that have been completed. Now if you would click on Change Shape, it would undo all the actions up to that Change Shape area as well, and that would undo the last 2 commands that you performed. Now of course you could also click the Undo button twice that is another option as well. And of course now we notice that the shape has changed back to a circle and has flipped back to its original position. Now of course we need to click to a blank area of the slide, and then we need to save our presentation. Now on page PowerPoint 33 it talks a little bit about using the eyedropper to match colors. Now as you develop your presentation and work with different shapes and pictures, sometimes from other sources, there may be a certain color that is not in the theme colors of the presentation that you want to capture and apply to objects in your presentation. To capture a color on a specific slide, select any object on the slide and then click any button in the list arrow with a color feature, such as the Shape Fill button or the Shape Outline button on the Drawing Tools Format tab. Then you can click on the eyedropper, and it looks like an eyedropper. And then you move the eyedropper mouse pointer over the color you want to capture and then pause or hover. As you hover over a color, a live preview of the color appears, and the RGB or the red, green, blue values called coordinates appear in the screen tip. Click when you see the color you want to capture, and then the new color now appears in any color gallery under Recent Colors. If you decide not to capture a new color, you can always press your Escape key to close the eyedropper without making any changes. And that concludes the information that's on pages PowerPoint 32 and 33. You're ready to move on to the next video in which we're going to rearrange and merge shapes.